Hi, I'm Ashley. Welcome to Rise Up Yoga. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this journey through the Light Seers Tarot. Now, if you'd like to support the growth of this channel, just remember to like this video and subscribe. Just as a reminder, we're on Patreon now as well, where we have exclusive content for members for a monthly subscription. So if you're interested in following us there, we'll link to the Patreon in the description. And you don't need any props for this flow, so just find a comfortable seat on your mat and we'll get started. Our tarot journey comes to a halt as we cross paths to the card of ultimate surrender, card number 12, the Hanged Man. Now, this energy appears when we find ourselves stuck in a certain aspect of life and are in need of some perspective shifts to move forwards. And in order to move through this stuck energy, the paradoxical guidance of the Hanged Man is to just hang out in stuckness in a new way, by putting everything in our lives, except for necessities, on an indefinite pause, stepping back from it all, and then recentering within. And by taking this step back, space is then created for new perspectives and insights to bloom. And then within the spaciousness, an acceptance of both the stuckness and the pause can naturally arise, which can give us the opportunity to fully surrender to the present moment and fully surrender to our own journeys. And within that surrender lies freedom. So we'll get started with some movement right away today. Just find your way into a tabletop position. Take your gentle movements there. No need to rush as we bring palms under shoulders, hips stacked above the knees. Really bring your weight into your knuckles and press your palms, the tops of the feet, into the earth, pressing the earth away from you. Start to tuck your toes. On an inhale, lift the knees, hover them up in the air just for a moment. And next exhale, press your tailbone up towards the sky as we make our way into downward facing dog. And keep the knees slightly bent. Continue to press into the palms so that we create this length through the back line of the body. Any soft movement you'd like to take here by taking the hips to the left and to the right, you're welcome to do so. Even lifting and lowering the heels, so using this space to find your own creative flow. Move with your breath. Soft breaths in and out through the nose. On an inhale, take a look forward, start to bend deeply through the knees. And then exhale, start to walk or step your feet all the way towards the top of the mat. Forward fold, Uttanasana. So as we arrive, just allow the head and the hands to relax. And take this moment, this opportunity and time to find a shift of perspective. So already we've entered this gentle inversion to help us look at things in a new way. Maybe if you've entered into this pose previously, you can take your gaze to a space here in this moment to where you haven't looked before. So maybe you look down at your toes naturally, or at the mat, or at your fingers. So take a look at what's behind you or to the side of you, just widening your perspective. And maybe even take a few sways to the side, or find stillness if you naturally end up wanting to sway. We'll take a few more breaths here. Notice what it feels like to fully surrender the upper body, allowing gravity to just do the work. On an inhale, slowly start to slide your fingers all the way up your calves, over your knees, your thighs, gently rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Your head will be the last to rise, really taking your time with this movement since we're in that inversion for quite a bit. Make sure your feet are spread wide, palms faced forwards, and then roll your shoulder blades down your back. Take a few movements here, forward and back onto your toes, onto your heels. Just noticing this connection of the feet on the earth. We walk around all day or parts of the day. And how often do we really notice that connection of feet and earth? And take a few sways to the left and to the right. And then find your stillness at center. On an inhale, go ahead and reach your arms up overhead, reach them towards the sky, Urdhva Hastasana, palms are faced towards one another. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. You can meet your thumbs on your sternum. And then I invite you to close your eyes or take a soft gaze forwards. As we just take the next few moments of practice to take a step back and take a step inward. Really give ourselves the space to cultivate what we need. Notice the temperature of the breath as it enters and exits the nostrils. And then notice if there's anything in your life at this moment that you feel a bit stuck in, whether that's an old belief, a limiting mindset, or something completely different. Just bring it to the top of your mind now. As we sit with whatever that is, on the next few rounds of breaths, we're going to allow it to leave our space. Put it off to the side of the mat. Let it leave your body. Let it leave your mind. Knowing that it will be there for you to return to at the end of practice. Now is your opportunity to take that step back and to just give yourself this next 30 minutes or so of pure presence, to just be with yourself and with your yoga practice, nourishing your body and your mind. Let's take 2 breaths together as we exhale. And inhale through the nose. Nice long exhale through the nose, let it all go. One more inhale to arrive more fully within. And one more exhale to step back, to let go. You can slowly start to flutter your eyes open if they're not there already, just coming back into this space that you've created for yourself. On an inhale, start to reach your arms up overhead once more, elongating through the side body, really creating this opening through the shoulders. Exhale, cactus the arms, open the chest. So you can even press the pelvis forward just slightly, and then take your chin slightly up towards the sky. Just a little back bend. You can even take your gaze slightly up, finding a different perspective than we have so far in class. Inhale, reach the fingers back up high. Exhale to melt it forward any way that you like, coming all the way back down. Forward fold Uttanasana. Inhale to lift halfway, hands come to shins or to thighs, Ardha Uttanasana. Draw the shoulder blades together down the back. Draw the ribs in together, active core. Exhale, plant the palms, bend through the knees, slide the right toes back in space. From here, rotate both toes so they're faced towards the right side of the mat. We'll come into a wide-legged forward fold. You can even walk your feet out a bit wider if that feels good to you. Toes are slightly in, heels are slightly out. And same thing here, just allowing the weight of gravity to work for you. Just take this time to observe how you feel in your body, in your mind. On an inhale, slowly start to rise with a flat back. You can even bring your hands to your hips as we lift all the way up, coming into this wide-legged standing position. From here, inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands down through heart center. Clasp your hands behind your back. Inhale to reach the arms towards the earth. Take a look up towards the sky. So again, we're taking different perspectives through class with not only our internal gaze, but our external gaze as well. On an exhale, start to slowly fold forward. Keep the core engaged, and your hands can stay clasped behind your back, like so, as you melt it all the way forward. If you need to release the hands at any point, you're welcome to. Just see how long your hands can stay where they are. If it feels available to you to reach the arms up overhead, so pointing the fists up towards the sky or towards the ceiling to get this deeper opening through the shoulders, through the upper back, you are welcome to. Just finding movements that nourish your own body. On an exhale, slowly and with ease, start to release your hands all the way down to the mat. From here, rotate your right toes towards the back of the mat. Left toes go there as well. So we're in a high lunge facing the back of the mat. And then go ahead and travel that left foot forwards. Uttanasana, forward fold facing the back of the mat. Inhale as we slowly start to rise all the way up. As you do so, lengthen your arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Notice if you can create this length through the front line of the body, feeling the stretch through the lower belly. And then exhale, hands come down through heart center. Now from here, you can start to bring your weight into your right foot. Inhale to reach your arms back up overhead. This time we're going to clasp the hands together, but keep your pointer finger faced up towards the sky, like you're pointing to something up above you. With the weight on the right foot, slide the left toes behind the right, and then start to lean to the right. So we're getting this lateral stretch into the left side of the body. Now I like to bring my left foot behind the right because I find it gives me a deeper stretch through the lateral side body, but if that feels a bit too unbalanced or if it doesn't sit right with your body, you can just keep your feet parallel to one another. So I invite you to just play with your own practice here now. Continue dropping that left shoulder down the back and pull the belly in towards the spine so we remove any excess arch out of the back. Inhale to come back to center. Leave the fingertips reaching towards the sky. We're just bringing the feet back parallel to one another. And then we'll take it to the other side. So bring your weight into your left foot. Slide your right toes behind your left if that's where you want to go. And then dive the left fingertips and the right fingertips over to the left side. So we're rooting down through that right heel while pressing open through the fingertips. Again, take these breaths in and out through the nose, noticing where we find ourselves drifting mentally during the practice and using the breath to bring us back to presence. Inhale to lift back up, come back up to center. You can release the hands. On an exhale, melt it forwards, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, plant the palms, slide the right toes back once more. And now we're going to face both feet towards the left side of the mat. So we're making this our ways all the way around the mat, just so we can get some different perspective. Again, toes in, heels out. On an inhale, slowly start to rise. As we lift up, inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. And then just heel toe your feet in towards one another just slightly, so they're slightly wider than hip width distance. You can bring your right hand to heart or to belly. Inhale to open the left arm to the side and reach it behind you, so we're getting this twist through the spine. Follow your left fingertips with your gaze, so we're following where our fingers are going. On an exhale, watch your left hand come to meet your right, and then the right arm will open wide and towards the back. And we'll just take a few of those movements back and forth at your own pace. Flowing with your breath. If you'd like to take any other movements in this space, you're welcome to. Just notice how it feels to get this expansiveness into the torso from all different aspects. One more breath. And on the next exhale, just come back to center. Hands can reach to heart center. On an inhale, reach the arms up overhead, palms faced towards one another. Exhale to melt it forward. Uttanasana, slightly wider legs. Start to rotate your right toes and your left toes towards the top of the mat. So now we're back at this high lunge, face towards the top of the mat. Step your left toes up to meet your right, forward fold. Bring your left palm to the middle of the mat. You can tent your fingers. You can bring your palm all the way down, whichever works for your body. Bend through the left knee. Inhale to reach your right fingertips towards the sky. Continue drawing that right shoulder down the back, pressing the left shoulder under the body. So we get this deeper twist. Exhale, right hand comes down, bend through the right knee, lengthen the left fingertips towards the sky. On an exhale, draw the left hand back down to the mat, plant both of your palms, bend through the knees, step one foot back and then the other, high plank. And continue to press into the heels. On an exhale, draw the knees down to the mat and then the chest. with the elbows tucked into the sides. So we'll come all the way down onto the mat. Now from here, reach your arms out wide in this T-shaped position. You can rest your forehead on the mat. I'm going to keep mine up just because I have my mic here, so I want you to be able to hear me. But arms will reach out wide. And then bring your right palm under your right shoulder. Bring your right heel in towards your glute. Next, inhale. Start to take your way to the left side of your body. So we're rotating onto the left side of the body, dropping that right foot behind the body. It might feel like sort of strange shape to begin with, but once we get into position for it, it can really be beneficial for opening up through the shoulders, through the upper back, which will help us in some of our experiences later in class. And just go to a spot that feels good for you. If the right foot doesn't fall all the way onto the mat and you're slightly onto the stomach, if that is already a pretty intense sensation in the shoulder, you're welcome to stay there. Just a few breaths. On an inhale, gently make your way back to your stomach, and then we'll take it to the other side. So right arm will T-shape by you, left palm will go under the shoulder, left heel to the glute. When you're ready, roll onto the right side of the body, drop the left foot behind you. Your head can stay lifted, or you can drop your head all the way to the mat and just feel the support of the earth beneath you. All right, on your next inhale, make your way back to center. As you do so, slide your elbows under your shoulders and bring your forearms parallel to one another. So you're making a number 11 shape with the hands, palms pressed firmly into the mat. Continue pressing through the palms, through the pelvis, through the tops of the feet as we come into Sphinx. Take a look out just slightly in front of you as we relax through the shoulders and open through the hearts. On an exhale, drop your chin down towards your chest and take a look down at the mat beneath you. Inhale to take a look up towards the sky. Feel this length through the front of the throat. Exhale, chin comes down towards chest. Inhale to lift and lengthen. Go ahead and bring your head back to neutral and then drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Inhale to come back to center. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder. And take that one more time at your own pace. Maybe you're already starting to feel this deeper stretch in our Sphinx pose, maybe through the lower back, through the quads. So if you're starting to feel any heat, see if you can just observe that feeling in your body. Know that you are strong enough to make it through this space. And take a few circles with the neck one way. And then the other. And then just come back to neutral with the neck. Start to slide your palms under the shoulders. Press your body back up into a tabletop position just briefly. From here, tuck your toes, draw your hips towards your heels, and then gently bring the top of your head all the way down onto the mat. So we're preparing for our rabbit pose, another gentle inversion. Now slide your hands back to meet your heels. From here, on an inhale, press your hips up towards the sky. So you can play around with how elevated your hips are off of your heels. You can play around with where the top of your head is, whether it's further away from your body or closer to it. All right, on an inhale, start to bring your hips down towards your heels. Walk your hands out in front of you. And keep your hips where they are. Palms can just rest on the mat. You can stay here if you're already feeling a deeper sensation in the ankles and the plantar fascia at the bottoms of the feet. Or you can walk your hands up onto your thighs and just remain here in stillness for a few breaths. On an inhale, start to walk your hands forward, untuck your toes, tap out your feet onto the mat. Just massaging out through the ankles. Great, and then from here, walk your hands towards the top of the mat as you pull your heart space towards the earth. Now your knees will be directly in line with your hips. So as we come into our puppy pose, we're using this to, again, open through the shoulders, create this space in the heart. Elbows can be lifted or they can be lowered. Notice what it feels like for you to really sit in these spaces of stillness. So finding these moments of pause in between thoughts and between words. And noticing your relationship with that stillness. On an inhale, start to come forward fully onto your forearms. So we're going to prepare for a forearm plank. So you can either keep your forearms parallel to one another, or you can clasp your hands together. And then from here, start to lengthen your right leg out long, then your left, and we'll meet in this plank pose. Engage the core, press into the elbows so that we're pressing the shoulders away from the ears and the ears away from the shoulders. Continue pressing the heels back in space. So creating this strength in the full body. Now you're welcome to stay here, or if you'd like to move to another inversion, we'll move into dolphin by walking one foot forward at a time as we allow the head to drop between the arms. So the ears will drop between the biceps as the feet walk forward. And just move your feet forward as much as feels accessible for you. And continue pressing into the elbows, pressing the hips up towards the sky. So we really start to strengthen through the shoulders. And take a look behind you, around you, at your space, at your body. See if there's anything else that you can really notice visually that maybe you haven't before. Just a few more breaths. I know this could be a pretty intense pose. We're staying in it for a bit of time, but you can do this. On your next exhale, lower your knees all the way down to the mat, untuck the toes. You can slide your hands besides the body and just come into a child's pose in any way of your choice. I'm just going to remain a bit elevated here, but really allow the shoulders to soften. Then your upper body to relax. On an inhale, start to lift your torso off of the thighs, scoot your legs out beside you, and then make your way all the way to the top of the mat. Bring the soles of the feet on the mat, wrap your hands around your shins on an inhale, lift up through the crown of the head, relax the shoulders. Exhale as we start to lower all the way down onto the mat. Rolling down one vertebrae at a time. And then you can walk your heels in closer towards your hips. Rest your palms onto the earth, tracking towards your toes. On an inhale, press down through the heels, lift through the hips, coming into our bridge pose. Another inversion here to really help us shift perspective. If you'd like to clasp your hands behind your back and then snuggle your shoulders under your body, you're welcome to create this deeper lift. Continue to engage the quads and the hamstrings. Press the knees in towards one another as if you're squeezing a block in between your knees. On an exhale, slowly release all the way back down to the mat. And bring your knees in toward your chest. Give yourself a little hug in this moment. On an inhale, start to press your heels up towards the sky, legs up the wall. You can even bring your hands around your hamstrings and just find some support there. Knees can be bent, they can be straight. Let's take a few moments here. Maybe take a few points with your toes, so flexing and pointing your toes, taking a few circles with your ankle. And then we'll rest the feet all the way down to the mat. Now this next time you are welcome to come into legs up the wall again, or if you already have shoulder stand in your practice, or if you'd like to give that a try, you're welcome to come into that. Just a heads up for shoulder stand, make sure you're always facing forward. So no moving to the left, the neck to the left and to the right. We want to make sure the neck stays protected. So yogi's choice, wherever you go, we'll all meet in the legs up the wall pose to start. So take your time getting there. If you're going to come into shoulder stand, bring your elbows into the earth and point your fingertips towards the sky. So we're creating this 90-degree shape with the arms. And then when you feel safe to press yourself up on an inhale, we will roll onto the upper back and lift the feet up towards the sky with your palms. You'll bring them to your lower back. And then using that for support, you can play around with leaning the hips into the hands. And so this is one variation of it. Another is to continue lifting the hips up towards the sky, pointing the toes until you come onto the shoulders. So continue pressing into the elbows, pointing the toes, engaging through the quads and the glutes. Wherever you are, take a few breaths. Okay, on your next exhale, we'll slowly come out of the pose, gently bringing the heels down towards the glutes, and then allowing the hips to fall towards the earth with ease. You can even roll out on your back just a bit as your feet come all the way down to the mat. Now, beautiful. From here, you can bring the soles of the feet together, knees open wide, and then reach the arms overhead, clasp one hand on forearm and the other, as we just open up through the heart space, creating this spaciousness in the hips, this length in the rib. And just take a few breaths to yourself here. Notice how you feel. I invite you to close your eyes for just a moment. Take that moment in time to just check in with yourself. What does it feel like to give yourself this full presence? Now we're going to move into a pratyahara meditation. You can either do so laying down in a shavasana-like position, or if you'd like to come into a seated position to do your meditation, just gently make your way there. So there's no wrong way to do it. Just playing around with meditating on the backs or in a seated position. So as you arrive to the space you have chosen, just allow your hands to rest naturally and close down your eyes. Now, pratyahara is an aspect of yoga that involves a sensory withdrawal, and that can be practiced in many different ways. But today we'll be doing that through a pratyahara meditation. So we'll go through all of our different senses in order to access that deeper internal space that we may not usually get the perspective of. So we begin with bringing a focus to our sense of touch. Observe what parts of your body are connected to the mat. If you're laying down, noticing the whole back line of the body and how that touch feels on the mat. If you're seated, feeling the sits bones, the ankles. And continuing this awareness to our touch of the clothes touching our bodies. Even starting to observe the air and how it connects with the body as well. Maybe noticing the touch of your hair on your head, or even the touch of your tongue on the inside of your mouth. Now we'll move on from our sense of touch to our sense of taste. So first, I invite you to notice if there are any tastes lingering in your mouth. Maybe that's recently brushed teeth or a recently eaten meal. Just notice what that feels like in your mouth. And now you can bring to the top of your mind something that you really enjoy the taste of, whether it be a favorite food or a favorite drink. See if you can bring the experience of that sensation to your taste buds. So we're noticing what we can experience with all of our sensations just from a place within. Just take a few breaths to really sit with your experience. Now we will shift to the sense of smell. So first, noticing any smells that you can directly experience in the space around you. See what your nose can pick up on, whether there are smells closer towards you in your environment or anything you can pick up on further in the distance. Now I invite you to start bringing that sensory sensation within by bringing to your mind something that you really enjoy the fragrance of. It could be a favorite flower, a favorite smell of food, a favorite tea or drink, maybe a favorite book. So anything that you really enjoy the sense of, just choose one thing and bring it to the top of your mind. What does it feel like in your body, in your experience, to imagine that smell? What feelings arise within your body, in your nose? Two more breaths. Now we'll draw our awareness to our sense of sight. You can keep your eyes closed if they're there. Just practice noticing what you see within the space as it is. And now I invite you to bring to your sense of vision something that you really enjoy the looking at. Could be, again, a flower, a food, a space in your home that feels really supportive, a friend, a pet. Just allow that visual of that object to come to the top of your mind. What is the shape of it? What color is it? Is there texture? Is there depth? And just take a few breaths here to yourself to just sit with that, play with that visualization internally. And now we'll move on to our final sensation, our sense of sound. So this time I first encourage you to bring to your mind a sound that you really enjoy, a sound that you find pleasure in. It could be somebody laughing, birds chirping, your favorite music. Notice what you can hear. Now stepping away from this inner visualization of sound, maybe start to notice the sound of your breath as it inhales and exits your nostrils. Even noticing the sound of your heartbeat, if you can really tune into that. Now start to notice the sounds in your immediate vicinity. Continue increasing your awareness to sound and see how many sounds you can pick up on. As we move through this journey of sound, and we meet at the end of sound into that space of silence. Notice what it feels like to be with that silence amidst the sound. Now we can draw our awareness back in, deep within, to that space of inner silence. That space behind the sensations. The one where we find ourselves in observation, in peace, in joy. Just take the next few breaths to yourself to notice your connection to that space. And take this moment to cultivate that deeper connection to that place within, knowing that you always have that sacred space to return to. Now, as we close out our meditation, and gently bringing our awareness fully back into this present. Noticing the waves of sound, of touch, of smell and taste, and sight. And you're welcome to remain here in a meditative seat or in that shavasana. Or if you're ready to get moving, just find your way into a comfortable seat if you're not already there. Once you arrive, bring your palms to touch, hands to heart center. As we move into the rest of the day or the evening ahead, really moving with this cultivated space that we have connected to, that space of inner peace, of stillness. Maybe moving into your days with a new perspective, maybe moving back to that which kept you stuck with the new perspective. And take your time moving into the rest of the day. Make sure to drink a lot of water. And enjoy. From my heart to yours, namaste.